Hi, my name is Kuldip Randhawa. I was fraudulently investigated by APEGBC in April 2005 for a water tank that was not even built. That statement says it all. Back there, you see my certificate as a professional engineer. I don't have a license, but I have the certificate. It's still dated to the time when I had it, and it's a constant reminder of the fraud that's taking place by the Engineering Association. I call it the organization of crime. Why am I making this video is because of a serious matter that has taken place, and I'm appealing to the Sikh community in particular in the wake of the farmers' protest that's taking place. I won't dwell too much on the farmers' protest because everyone has certain issues and views, but what's taking place at a world level is serious crimes against Sikhs, including Sikhs who are culturally exploited or criminally entrapped, such as my wife has been. I've just made a video concerning the criminal entrapment in the family proceeding E055286. I have to reach out to my wife because she is still my wife on the basis that the order that was made is null and void. Those proceedings were about concluding the crimes that started many years ago, and this is the reason why we're having a protest outside City of Surrey on Fridays in the month of January, and perhaps even further, and another protest on Mondays in front of CRA. When you have an organization such as the Canadian Revenue Agency, officers within that building have done crimes. And it's a white-collar crime involving many staff, where senior staff often are assigning jobs to junior people in the front when the offices were once open. They're now closed. You now have to talk with liaison officers through the phone. And so even though I'm trying to deal with this issue, this matter should not have actually occurred if Harvey Sidhu, a Sikh who was explained for over a year to reach out and tell my wife what is the correct accounting, and instead of filing correctly, he sold me out at the 11th hour. He was given ample opportunity and considerable respect. He was someone who stated that he was brave and can take on CRA. Such betrayal I've never possibly imagined ever. My wife is criminally entrapped, and she cannot go forward nor go backwards. Because when a person is deceived by a lawyer, you give fraudulent information, evidence in court where the wife is now believing that she could be criminally entrapped and charged with perjury. But when that person, or any other person for that matter, is represented by a lawyer, the person responsible for that crime is the lawyer. It's called respondent superior. That same lawyer is responsible for supervising the staff in the law firm. So paralegals are now being supervised by this lawyer because presently, at the present time, there is no regulation of paralegals in BC. It's an unregulated profession. So you have paralegals providing affidavits in the Supreme Court where they assume that the lawyers are now taking responsibility. But that is never simple enough, because when you are made aware of a crime, as I have informed the lawyers at Zuckerman Law and the entire staff with affidavits that were sent, they are fully aware of the crime. They have a duty to report that crime and put an end to it, not to continue. So I'm appealing to my relatives. I don't care where you are, whatever the situation is, whether you're in Canada or in India or in the UK. Those hugs that you gave me on the dance floor, if they had any meaning whatsoever, if there was any compassion that you had for me, if there's any sense of decency left within you to do the right thing, now is the time to do it. be the better person as I am being the better person. My brother Majid has my funds, he has to return them. My former partners are fully aware of the crimes. They actually stole materials from the subdivision. They were not investigated by CRA, they were not investigated by the RCMP in Oliver. They physically committed a crime. And those lots were sold in the so-called family proceedings in 2019 after 10 years of CRA having the opportunity to remove those fraudulent charges, which were registered in Her Majesty's name. I'm quite certain Her Majesty is not aware of it. She is being made aware now, because when a crime is done in her name, it affects her reputation. There's no taxes owed to CRA. They've stolen my properties worth in excess of 1.5 million, because when you take into account the theft that was taking place, and how did they register these fraudulent charges? By excluding expenses. That's not a difficult thing to decide, guys. You know expenses are deductible. It's right there on the CRA website. And my shareholding was stolen. The transfer of my company is now given to my wife because she's told that, it's okay to do this by a lawyer. It's not. So I want my family to come across and explain to her before she commits a crime. She hasn't committed it yet because she was criminally entrapped. I now have explained to her. I still care for her in a different way. To say that I love you, I may be wrong, but I still do in my heart, because I see my wife as a victim. But there's a tradition that I want to appeal to all those folks out there. In particular, the World Sikh Organization. You always defend the rights of Sikhs. Whenever you collect funds from the people, you always say that you fight for the rights of Sikhs. So why have you not defended for me? Were you aware that the water tank was not even built? And that is the reason why all this is happening? If this is what's taking place, where you are not defending the rights of those Sikhs who don't have a turban or articles of faith, what about those Sikhs who have the articles of faith, who are doing crimes and fraud? What good are those articles of faith if the Sikh behind those articles of faith are corrupt? Just to make a point, if you're a Christian, what good is it you holding a crucifix and saying, I believe in Christianity, when the person behind that crucifix, which is an article of faith, is corrupt and doing crimes? Many judges in the court are considered to be honorable. If you are honorable, you need to set aside all those orders and hold those lawyers accountable for committing perjury and the crime of criminal entrapment. And if my family members are so far gone and so far removed that they still don't see the truth of what's taking place here, and you can't come forward, I would appeal to my brothers out there. There's a tradition that used to occur in Sikhism, and it still does, where 5 Sikhs were invited into the house and given some clothing and given some respect because of the good deeds that they did. And when they came, they were given so much respect, and they were given food as a sign of respect for Sikhs. With that in mind, I'm asking 5 Sikhs to come and explain to my wife that this is not proper, because what is taking place here is cultural exploitation, where women are being criminally entrapped. Some women are given positions and they're being corrupted. And the same sort of things are happening in the farmers' protest in India, where certain women, where the Sikh religion respects women, and I'm talking about Kangana Ranaut, who is an actor in Bollywood, making all sorts of accusations against our respected mothers. That you cannot do this. It cannot be allowed. You had my respect because I thought you were fighting the system and you were well spoken. But what you've done here is unacceptable, and you need to apologize, and you need to put an end to the type of deep-rooted and evil tactics that are being used against Sikhs.